Hey guys, how you all doing and thing, you know what I mean? And we've looked into the ancient history of Romania, some of the modern history, a little bit of the culture and the food and stuff, and I'm going to be watching more of that, because that's one of the places I'm absolutely interested in. Now we're going to take a look at the geopolitics of Romania. So let's go ahead and YouTube and simmer and see what that's all about.
Hydrocarbons, precious minerals, arable land, yet the second most impoverished nation in the European Union. Romania's ill fortune stems from several factors. In the last century, the nation was affected by two world wars and a vicious communist dictatorship that lasted decades, while even earlier in its history, the country was surrounded by large expansionist powers. These events left a deep impression on the geopolitics of Romania. I'm your host Shirvan and welcome to Caspian Report. Today's episode is sponsored by NordVPN, which has over 5,000 servers in 62 countries and is available for Windows and Mac. It also has browser extensions for Chrome and Firefox and has apps for Android and iOS. Also this year, NordVPN was selected as the best in its class by VPN Mentor. So for a premium but reasonably priced VPN, head on over to nordvpn.com/CaspianReport and use the promo code CaspianReport for a discount on the 3-year plan. On the western shore of the Black Sea and north of the Balkan Peninsula sits Romania. Its single most defining geographic feature are the Carpathian Mountains. Rugged, vast, and rich in wildlife, forests, and minerals, the Arc of the Carpathians has historically served as a barrier against marching armies. Even with modern weaponry, the mountains offer strategic depth in an otherwise flat neighborhood, much like a speed bump in the middle of a highway. Historically, the mountainous range offered the locals shelter from foreign invaders. It was in the Carpathians that the Dacian state emerged, and later Roman Dacia established its capitals. This explains why Romania is distinctly different in language, customs, and traditions from its Slavic neighbors. One can therefore argue that the Carpathians are the backbone of Romania. Yet, as important as the Carpathians are in defense and national identity, they also divide Romania into three distinct entities: Moldavia, Wallachia, and Transylvania. The historical rivalry between these three regions, invigorated by the fixed terrain, was the most testing obstruction in the unification of Romania. It wasn't until the middle of the 19th century when Wallachia and part of Moldavia unified into the new Romanian nation-state, with Transylvania becoming part of the country following the outcome of World War I. Since then, there have been many minor territorial adjustments as the borders were continuously redrawn with each passing conflict. But Moldavia, Wallachia, and Transylvania make up the bulk of what is modern Romania. The second most striking feature is the Danube River, which flows across the southern grasslands and turns the area into a large arable land known as the Wallachian Plain. It is here that one finds the capital, Bucharest, and many other cities along the banks of the Danube. Although Romania's population is evenly spread, the political and commercial concentration in the Wallachian Plain makes it the heartland of the country. Due to its proximity to the Balkans, the development of Wallachia was shaped by South Europe as well as the Ottoman Empire. Current relations with Serbia, Bulgaria, and Turkey are favorable owing to the distance and clear demarcation of the Danube. Transylvania and Moldavia have their own distinct functions within the state as well. The highlands of Transylvania are linked to Central Europe, where the Catholic faith and the Austrian-Hungarian influences remain traceable today. Relations with Hungary are more complicated since Transylvania is home to a large ethnic Hungarian community and was under on and off Hungarian control from the 10th century until World War I. Ordinarily, this would turn the area into a powder keg, but fortunately membership within the European Union has rendered the ethnic territorial dispute almost non-existent. Moldavia, meanwhile, plays an important cultural role and was influenced by East European factors such as the Orthodox faith and the Russian Empire. but the conflict in Transnistria has a direct bearing on the populations of Moldova and Romania. More on this in a few minutes. Seen in this light, Romania sits at the fringe borders of South, East and Central Europe. It is no coincidence, therefore, that the country has long acted as a crossing point for expansionist kingdoms and, at times, an essential buffer against such powers. Since the turn of the 20th century, however, Romania has gravitated towards Central Europe as commercial opportunities facilitated with markets to the west thanks to the Danube River. Today, about 70% of Romanian exports go to the members of the European Union. That makes Bucharest susceptible to changes in Brussels. Another way of looking at the geopolitics of Romania is that the nation sits between the conflict spaces of Yugoslavia and those of the former Soviet Union. So, compared to its environment, Romania is an oasis of stability, and that stability makes Bucharest a favorite for many outside powers seeking for a regional partner. The third element defining
So you see, now that explains why there's been so much conflict around there. It's located in an area where politics can be dictated. You know what I mean? Like he said, all the powers coming in and they have to pass through there to get to other places and all of that. Now, what I'm noticing here is the geographic relationship between a lot of places that I've heard about a whole lot. Like Bulgaria, Serbia, Hungary, Ukraine, almost right there, you know what I mean? And especially with the Ukraine now, there seem to be conflicts around that region there. Everybody's wanting a piece of that area. And it's possibly because of all the minerals and stuff that's there, you know what I mean? So, and I've noticed in the comments section that a lot of people are saying that a lot of Romanians are saying that Romania is rich in minerals and all of that. But it's like how it's being governed that's creating issues with the population itself and the standard of living and all of that. So that's something I'm getting from in the comment section. And trust me, I read all the comments there, you know what I mean? So the prevailing idea is that, like for instance, you could own the land, but you can't own the minerals. Correct me if I'm wrong in the bottom, but that's what I'm getting from the comments. People are putting in under the videos and stuff like that. Let's keep going here.
In Romania's geography is the Black Sea. The coastal region with the deep water port of Constanța is a geo-economic hub that links the markets of Central and East Europe with Asia through road, rail and air. However, whenever there is an easy access for trade, there is also an opening for conquest. Centuries ago, the Ottomans used the navigable Danube to sail their galleys right into the heart of Wallachia and disturb the logistics, which left the southern frontier open for invasion. That's how the Ottoman Empire subjugated the Romanian states, and this strategic vulnerability exists to this day. At times, the greatest threat came from the Turks, and at times it came from the Russians. Whenever one power formed a danger, Romania allied with the other to maintain a balance of power in the Black Sea. As such, Romanian policymakers consider Russia and Turkey as their historical frenemies, both friends and enemies at the same time. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 1990s, that equation has changed only slightly. The Kremlin seeks to regain its lost influence by expanding westward, while the White House has amplified its regional commitments. For instance, Poland checks Russia in the European plain, Turkey contains the Russians in the Black Sea, while Bucharest blocks expansion in the Balkans. This US-backed containment belt is a shared interest of the participant nations. Another consideration for Romania is the turmoil in neighboring Ukraine. Bucharest not only has a lengthy border with Kiev, but is also deeply tied to the area. The Republic of Moldova, which is ethnically Romanian, has historically acted as a battleground between the Romanian states and Russia. In the 1990s, the two Romanian countries sought to reunify their territories, only to be cut short by geopolitics. Stalin crafted the borders of Moldova in such fashion that it could have no political will of its own. Firstly, after establishing Soviet Moldova, the area north of Bessarabia and North Bukovina were granted to Soviet Ukraine as a gift. Secondly, the coastline of southern Bessarabia was also transferred to Ukraine. This was a critical change because it turned Moldova into a landlocked country and dismembered its access to the wealthy ports of the Danube. Thirdly, in exchange for these territorial concessions, Moldova received the region of Transnistria. However, this was more of a burden than a gift, since Transnistria had a Russian ethnic majority which ensured Moscow's influence. Since these calculated changes, Moldova has been unable to escape the Kremlin's grip, and policymakers in Bucharest have no interest in getting involved in the quagmire. Should the Romanians pursue reunification with Moldova regardless, it would place Bucharest on a collision course with Kiev as well as Moscow. With so many variable factors beyond its control, Bucharest has had to master the art of realist geopolitics. As a result, the state experimented with various types of governance while balancing between foreign powers. After World War II, Romania went from a monarchy to communist dictatorship until finally arriving at its current democratic state. However, like many East European nations, the communist bureaucracy and civil servants merely reinvented themselves in the democratic framework while maintaining the power structure. As such, much like communist planned economics, the government still dominates the nationwide economic life, and with that inevitably comes corruption, the decay of state institutions, and a plunge in industrial output. This is why Romania, despite being rich in natural resources such as crude oil, natural gas, hydropower, uranium, nickel, copper, etc., lacks the proper infrastructure to exploit its riches. On paper, Romania should have been a wealthy state, not to mention a regional conduit for energy. Unfortunately, corruption is so endemic that it feeds traits like poor infrastructure, tax avoidance, brain drain, etc., all leading to a drop in industrial and economic capacity. More importantly, Romania is a long way from rectifying this dilemma given that its population is dropping rapidly. Since its peak in the 1990s, the population fell from 23 million to 19 million in 2019, a number that will decline to 15 million by 2050, and even further drop to 10 million by the end of the century. Such a stern demographic decline will have consequences for every segment of the Romanian state. Its military, diplomatic, and economic standings will be affected by it. All things considered, as a crossing point between Central, East, and South Europe, Romania has its fair share of geopolitical objectives. Foremost, the Carpathians divide the country in three parts, and Bucharest must maintain unity against influences from abroad. One way to enhance the integrity of the state, and this is the second objective, is by improving public administration by addressing grievances such as corruption, infrastructure, taxation, education, etc. Currently, Bucharest loses about $16 billion annually due to corruption. That's money that could have been invested anywhere else to unify the state. The third objective, by enhancing its public administration, output in crude oil and natural gas is likely to build up. Increased energy output can be applied to balance off Russia's exports, which is Romania's ticket to greater political say. Next, the Danube is a highway for commerce, but also an entry point into the heartland. And since Romania lacks a capable navy, it must ally with a naval power that can guarantee its existence against the dominant Black Sea power, with emphasis on the balance between Turkey and Russia. The fifth objective is to maintain membership in both the EU and NATO, which freezes ethnic disputes and security threats from the west and south. East Romania, however, is exposed to the turmoil in Ukraine, Russia's westward pressure, the pro-Russian separatists in Transnistria, and reunification with Moldova. So in the east, the margin for error is small, and the next objective here is to maintain the stalemate with Russia, at least until better opportunities are presented. The final goal for the country is to prepare for the irreversible demographic decline. That can mean opening the borders for skilled immigrants, or investing in technology and automation, or a combination of the two. Either way, demographic decline, along with the previously mentioned goals, determine the geopolitics of Romania. I've been your host Shirwan from Caspian Report.
Okay, now that's interesting. It seems like there's like just on the verge of how should I put this? Of exploding into the world. You know what I mean? There's so much there to push them forward and thing. You know what I mean? But for politics, you know what I mean? But then again, that's everywhere. You know what I mean? And yeah, so that's why we, as a people, as a human race, need to start talking to each other. There was somebody in the comment section this morning. I was talking about how most of the politicians in their country, which was England, is getting paid off and stuff. You know what I mean? And the parties that are supposed to be rivals and taking care of business for the people are actually sitting back and getting taken care of by those who have more to keep it to the status quo, so that they could reap the benefits, and while the people aren't living in pristine or near to pristine existence, which is kind of like what's happening all over the world for some reason now. But yeah, this was quite interesting. The delicate balance between dealing with all the countries outside of there, plus the delicate balance of all what's going on within the country. That's got to be hard. But if they would take care of the people, that might eliminate a whole lot of that, because then you would have a united sort of front that would fight off any outside influence that comes in. Man, I hope you guys find this as interesting as I did and thing, you know what I mean? I'm gonna leave a link in the description to this video. Go check it out and thing without me babbling. And I hope you guys are taking care of yourself. Because once you take care of yourself, that will lead into taking care of others. And then it's all cool running from there. You all take care, all right?